Being a chartered manager means that you are a specialist in that area, and it means you've got all the skills to do the job to the best of its ability.
You are seen as a leader, a true leader who has credentials behind the great work you've already been doing.
It's enhanced my understanding, it's enhanced my skill set, it's improved my mindset.
It makes all the difference.
This session is recorded and will be available on the CMI website and YouTube channel. Join the conversation by using the live chat box for your questions and comments. We'll answer as many as we can during the Q&A.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Attracting Green Talent, Building Teams for a Sustainable Future digital event. My name is Mary, and I am an event delivery coordinator at CMI. Don't forget to join the conversation by using the live chat box, and feel free to ask any questions you have for the speakers, and we'll answer as many as possible during the Q&A session. I'll now hand over to David Jones, the Policy and Innovation Manager at CMI, to begin today's event.
Thank you, Mary. Today we've got a really fantastic event lined up for you. First thing I would like to do is to welcome our speakers. So we're joined today by Edwin Ayobo, a consultant and co-founder at Energies Black, and also Josh Robertson, who is the founder and CEO at Engineer Career. So together, they're going to share their strategies for building green talent pipelines, creating inclusive workplace cultures, and leading the shift towards more sustainable business practices. I won't steal their thunder too much. They'll introduce themselves shortly. So by attending this event, you'll learn strategies for identifying, attracting and engaging green skilled professionals, what makes organizations stand out as sustainability employers of choice, the role of culture, leadership, and development in retaining top talent, lessons, case studies from organizations leading the way in high-performance green workforce development. So my name's David Jones. I'm Policy and Innovation Manager here at CMI. And I'll talk to you a little bit about what the work that we're doing, and then I'll be able to hand over. So we're living in a time where sustainability is no longer a side conversation. It's central to how modern businesses operate. From how we source materials to how we manage our people and processes, the need to embed sustainability into our leadership approach has never been greater. And with that shift, we're seeing a significant rise in demand for professionals who bring both green values and high performance to the table. But let's face it, attracting green talent and building the kind of high-performing, sustainability-driven teams that deliver longer-term value isn't just about hiring people with the right technical skills. It's about creating a culture where purpose and performance go hand in hand, where leaders are equipped to integrate sustainability into strategy, decision-making, and team development. And that's where the CMI, Chartered Management Institute, is playing a key role. At CMI, we believe that effective, ethical, and inclusive leadership is essential to tackling the major challenges of our time, and that includes the climate crisis. So to support this, we offer our sustainability leadership qualifications, which are designed to help managers and leaders build the skills and confidence they need to lead on sustainability, not just manage it. These qualifications cover critical areas such as sustainable strategy, circular economy principles, and integration of ESG, helping organizations embed sustainability at every level. So whether you're a leader shaping corporate strategy or a manager developing future talent, our qualifications empower professionals to lead with impact, bringing credibility and clarity to sustainability efforts. And today's event is a chance to explore this further. We'll hear about how to build those high-performing teams by aligning sustainability with purpose, innovation, and performance. So whether you're here to gain insights, challenge your current thinking, or simply to connect with like-minded professionals, you're in the right place. Thank you again for joining us. And with that, let's dive into the conversation with Edwin.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you, CMI, for the opportunity to really be part of this conversation, which I believe is really critical at this time, because sustainability is majorly at the center of everything we do now, and is going to be taking the stage for couple of years to come. So it's really critical that we really have this conversation and see how we can continue to build our team to achieve some of the goals that corporate organizations are pushing for. Like they already introduced, my name is Edwin. I am co-founder at Energize Black, and Energize Black is the largest community of Black professionals in the UK. We have over 600 members, and what we try to do is to increase representation of Black talent in the energy and sustainability space. We launched over 18 months ago, and we've been able to impact over 400 people across the UK, looking at ways to also diversify into other parts of Europe. We've also just launched in Scotland some months ago, so the community is growing. Outside of Energize Black, I work as a consultant, digital delivery. I help and manage a team to build digital platforms that is helping to reduce some of the connections queue in the UK. If you know about connections queue, at 2023, we'll see right about 600 megawatts, and we're trying to see how we can, decouple that to reduce the connections queue with some of the DNOs. So I lead a team that builds a software platform that tries to solve this problem by reducing time that customers will wait from 3 months to right about 15 minutes using digital technology. So today I would be talking about attracting great talents and building high-performing team. I know the word green is really thrown around so easily these days because, it's just cool to say that great talent or green jobs. There are a lot of statistics that is out there just talking about what green jobs are, what green talent are, and how do we leverage on some of these talents to build our team. But I'd like to start with a question. If you go to the next slide, I'd like to start with a question. What do you think the future of work is? If you are on the charts, you can just pop your answer on the chat. I want to see, let's engage. It's a discussion. I'm not just presenting, we're having this conversation. So what do you think the future of work is? What do you think the future skills are in terms of the conversations that are going on everywhere relative to sustainability and innovation and digital technology? Tell me, what do you think the future of work is? I'll give some seconds to see if I can get some people's charts or responses. Just let me know what your thoughts are in terms of what you think the future of work is. I raised this question, human skills. That's good. Soft skills are really important. Human skills, transferable skills, grants. Okay, this is really good. I only can see one response coming through. Keeping it sustainable, but also innovative. I like that response. Keeping it sustainable, but also innovative. Okay, so if you just go to the next slide, the future of work, again, like I said, green is thrown around quite a lot. It's green. Either you are trying to learn a lot of human skills, or you're learning transferable skills, or you're learning how to be very innovative while keeping it sustainable. The future of work is green. I asked this question to some folks some weeks ago, and most of their responses were artificial intelligence. I was expecting I would see AI, I would see, digital transformation as a response on the chart, because there's a lot that is going on in the digital space. So people think, digitization is going to take over the world, AI is going to take over the world. But in the center of all of this evolution that is happening in terms of how, work is being done, the center of it is the green. By green, I mean sustainable. All right. So even if you're thinking AI is going to take over the world, how do we ensure we make those technological revolution to be as much sustainable as possible? And there's some statistics that are backing this, right? 75% of young professionals say they would take a pay cut to work for an environmentally sustainable or responsible company. So what that means is that companies or individuals are looking to work for companies that are very, very sustainable. It's gone past the time where they're just looking to get a paycheck. They want to ensure that whatever they are doing at their organization is contributing to solving the issues of sustainability or climate change through sustainable innovation, like the response I just got. Green jobs, like we know, are growing 4 times faster than the overall job market, and this is from PwC Green Job Barometer. The green jobs are growing, right? Again, I said green jobs are being thrown around quite easily. Maybe it's time for us to define what green jobs are. Do you need to be like a renewable energy engineer for you to be called a green talent? Do you need to be like a sustainability analyst to be called a green talent? In the way I've seen it, once your job intersects with sustainability, right, you are already a green talent. You have a green job. As an example, myself, I work in digital technology, when I'm not doing NGI's Black work. And every day, everything I'm doing is contributing to seeing how we can improve sustainability on the electricity network, right? So I can't say because I'm not a renewable energy engineer, I'm not a green talent, right? So if your work intersects with the sustainable or sustainability agenda of the UK or any place that you are or your organization, you're already a green talent and you're contributing sustainably to whatever we're trying to globally chase in terms of energy transition. All right. So the last one is the UK, employment in green job was estimated to be about 690,000, full-time equivalent in 2023. And this was, if you compare it to 2015, when they first released their report, is grown over 35% since 2015. And if you do the math, it's about at least 4% every year. So it's growing. The green talents pool is growing. And there are data that supports that the supply is not meeting the demand, right? So the supply is not meeting the demand. If you are in the green space or you want to get into the green space, the energy transition is a very complex situation. It's a very complex problem. And we need people that are coming with multidisciplinary skill to solve this. You don't have to be like a renewable energy engineer, or you don't have to be like a heat pump installer for you to be called a green talent. Once your job intersects, transferable skills, leadership skills, management skills, if your job intersects in ways that contribute sustainably to drive the agenda, you're already a green talent. So one of the things I want us to go back, think about, after this webinar is how do we demystify some of these words and terminology that have been thrown around? What do we really call green jobs? Are people looking for green jobs, or they are looking for good jobs? And what is a good job? Good job in terms of sustainable and, equitable contribution, to a corporate workforce. So I just put it like a note at the bottom. Green talents are professionals with sustainability related skill, values, and experience. So if whatever you're doing is adding value, sustainability to a company, you are already a green talent. If you go to the next slide. Like I said, the evolving talent landscape is changing. There was a time it was just more of advocacy. So we've moved from where we were before to now seeing how things are contributing sustainably to what we do. Younger generation, like I said, are prioritizing purpose. So what's the purpose of the job they're getting? What value would they bring into the company? How does it tie sustainability into their mission as a corporate organization? Young engineers, young professionals, young analysts, software engineers are looking for these things. They're asking questions. If you jump on interviews, I get to interview a few of them, sometimes when I have conversations at events, they are asking about sustainability. How does corporate organizations are trying to introduce sustainability into, their corporate strategy? Talents is seeking companies that walk the sustainability talk, right? So it's not just about CSR reports. It's not about, trying to see that, we are sustainable at this company. How do you ensure that you walk the talk? How do you ensure that you develop KPIs for energy and carbon reduction with your company? How do you ensure that at a leadership level, they could see that you are leading by example? Organizations with strong sustainability value attract more committed and diverse talent. And that is a no-brainer. Data that supports that. Companies grew their revenue at least by 20% after they had announced that they become B Corp companies. There are data that support various use cases for things like this. So companies that are more sustainable, you would always attract committed and diverse talent. Like I said, the energy transition, going green and all of this mantra that we throw around is a very complex situation. And you need diverse and multidisciplinary discipline team to work on situations like this. So we are seeing this shift happening, younger generations, companies impact, people are looking at impact rather than just salary, which is also good. They want to work for organizations that is actively shaping a better world. Green values are now a differentiating factor for talent attraction. So if I'm interviewing someone, they want to understand sustainably what are the goals of the company. These are some of the questions I get asked sometimes when I jump on interview people. So yeah, the conversations are changing, and we need to start seeing it from that angle. Move to the next slide. So how UK firms can attract green talent? One, again, showcase sustainability commitment. Net zero, is it part of the value of the corporate organization? Is it written somewhere? Do we have active participation in that corporate organization to drive net zero? One of the funny stories I like to talk about sometimes was when I started my career. I actually started working in an oil and gas company, and then when I then decided I was going to be working in renewables, I remember my folks, when I first told my folks that I wanted to be designing solar solutions for homes and businesses across the African region. They started calling me an inverter installer, and I always tell them, I was like, I don't install inverter. I just design the systems and I'll give to, like the technicians to go and install. It took me time for me to get them educated more on how sustainability work and what the company I'm trying to work for, what are they driving towards, how can I contribute? And most of the companies I chose to work for were those companies that I saw. One of the companies I worked for was Total Energies in the African region, and they were one of the people that piloted solar lamps across Africa, and I was managing that project across different sites in Africa. But I saw that they were very much committed. At the time, they had just entered partnership with the World Bank and Lighting Africa. This was before I moved to England to start developing solutions in solar and digital technology in England. But it was early part of my career. But one of the things that made me make that decision was because I saw that they were actually showcasing their sustainability commitment. They wanted to make sure people have access to sustainable energy across the Africa region. This was early part of my career. So the next thing people can do, really, number two, is offer flexible and inclusive option, right? Beyond what you would put on LinkedIn or media, how inclusive is the workplace? Do you have diverse talent? Not just about attracting this diverse talent. Do you know how to retain this talent? Do talents come to your companies and they can stay for 5, 6, 7 years without seeing a reason to want to leave, even though you cannot, there's little or much you can do to keeping talent. But what's your retention rate for talent? How diverse is your talent? How inclusive is your workforce? How flexible? Are you part of those organizations that are going to say everybody should come to the office 5 days a week, where some of them could do their jobs from homes, how flexible, how inclusive? And that's one of the things we do at Energize Black to see how we can make organizations have inclusive and diverse talent. So we go to organizations and see how we can support their drive towards inclusivity and diverse culture within the organization, because we can't try to solve the issue of climate change being in the room with people that look and talk the same. There has to be a diverse view. There have to be people that are coming from the global south, from the global west. Let's put our heads together to get this solution that we're trying to bring forth. So the next thing organizations can do is to embed purpose into every job role. What's the purpose? People are much more engaged when there is a purpose to the job they are doing. How does it contribute sustainably into the corporate agenda of the company? So there has to be a purpose to the role. And the last one is to train and upskill. We can't say this over enough. We can't say this over enough. You have to create a responsible way of training and upskilling talent within the organization. Talents that are coming in, how do they start from a point and then grow into managerial role? What we see these days that people come into companies, or talents come into companies, they're stuck in a particular location or in a particular position rather. You will see them being there for like 4 or 5 years. They haven't grown. They haven't even gotten to that mid-level or mid-management level. How do you ensure you keep upskilling, create an avenue to upskill, your talent within maybe majorly focus on sustainability? Some of the things you can do is IEMA certification, carbon literacy, just advocacy from early career to mid-career, even to senior management level. How do people continue to upskill and grow? Right? We We advocate for this a lot in Energize Black. I actually lead capacity building within Energize Black, and we've trained over 80 professionals in the UK and trying to see how we can partner with, companies like Energy UK, Energy Institutes to continue to train talent to ensure that they have the right skill for the future. I was looking at some statistics recently. This is maybe a little bit off. I saw that because of how digital technology is helping to drive the energy transition, there's going to be a lot of connected systems. So there are going to be a lot of connectivity of digital technology. How are we ensuring that people are being trained in things like cybersecurity? Because, if we're talking about how digital technology will help the energy transition or sustainability, there's going to be a lot of rooms for cybersecurity analysts. How do we train people to be very cyber aware for the things that we're building for the future? So let's keep, training and upskilling talent as they come into our organization. Let's make them see the focus on how sustainable solutions can really drive the ambition within your corporate organization. When they start to, when maybe we could retain them for like a year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, they're going to be in the company. They should be able to say mark to how they've grown. So yeah, if you just go to the next slide, I'm going to run now. I think I'm almost close to. So why green talents boost team performance? Yeah, innovation. It creates room for innovation, fresh thinking, to complex challenges. Like I said, energy transition is complex. You see some of the things happening. When I go on LinkedIn and just read some of the things happening, you see transformer somewhere is burning up. You see what happened in Europe about, the connection, disconnection, and the old mayhem everywhere. And, people were talking about it could have been a cyber attack. We need innovation. In the coming years, it is projected that there's going to be about 2.5 billion people that are moving to the cities, urban migration, and about 60 to 70% of the infrastructure that will be used then already being built. How do we accommodate this growth in population or growth in migration into cities across the world? It calls for innovation, it calls for efficiency. So, if you bring in, green talent, if you bring, talent that are upskilled, that are trained to tackle some of the growing needs that we're seeing, it just breeds a lot of fresh idea innovation. The next one is collaboration. And I think this is where leaders would play a key role in trying to ensure there's cross collaboration within an organization. That's why one of the very effective ways of getting into or driving people's career is through the graduate scheme. I like the graduate scheme a lot. I benefited from it at some point in my life, because in graduate scheme for like 2 years, you are there and you're able to move from one to another. You work in different teams, you work across different portfolios or project portfolios, and you're able to learn by the end of the 2 years. And I think companies still do it quite a lot. So they try to introduce that graduate scheme for 2 years, so that when you leave the graduate scheme, you are very, very refined as you move into management level. So collaboration is very important. We need strong collaborators and people that are system thinkers. How do you take a complex situation? How do you break it down into different sets and then attack it one after the other? System thinker. That's one of the advantages of having green talent, because it boosts performance. And the last one is purpose, right? So mission-driven employees are more engaged. Mission-driven employees are more engaged. How do you engage your employers? How do you ensure that when they come into your organization, they know that there's a purpose why they're there, and then they keep being engaged and also sustainably contribute to the global agenda or the corporate agenda for the organization that they're working on? So these are some of the ways or the reasons why green talent, would boost performance, because innovation is key and collaboration is also key, but then there has to be a purpose to it. The last slide, I guess. Yeah, rules of leadership. I already had mentioned these in some of the slides. Rules of leadership, in retaining high-performing green talent, again, on board with sustainability mission. I get this a lot when young people speak to me, when I go out to do, for conferences or meetings, and young people approach me and I ask them, where are you trying to get a job? Why are you looking for this particular role? And one of the things they tell me, of course, they'll talk about how they want to, make some money and, learn some skills, or why are they driven towards a particular role. But one of the things they always talk about is that they think they can contribute sustainably to the UK's energy transition plan, and they're looking for organizations where they can really be part of this move. So on board with sustainability mission, not just in trying to show, through your CSR report, again, walk the talk, let them see commitment. You can't be a leader and you're trying to drive sustainability with the organization, but then you are saying EV is good, but you're not driving EV, right? You're still driving an ICE, okay? So like you have to walk the talk. There has to be like a commitment from the leadership point of view. Number two is cross-functional collaboration. I just mentioned and I'd explained much more about that already. So there has to be cross-functional collaboration. Let's imbibe the culture of ensuring that teams work together and also in a more diverse and inclusive workforce. Okay, and the last one is celebrate internal green champions. This is really important. One of the things I did before I moved to where I'm currently working, I used to work for Mighty, and I was building digital CD. CD stands for Central Data Environment for one of the government's contracts. They had over 800 estates across the UK, and they wanted to reduce their waste to landfill, but also increase their recycling by a percentage because of GGC. GGC is Greening Government Contract, commitment rather. So I was working on that project for over a year. And one of the things I did was I knew I couldn't go to all the sites, over 800 sites. One of the things I did was to appoint sustainability champions. And I had over 35 sustainability champions that were working across different regions. And that kind of really helped me a lot because just recently, I think Mighty was nominated for an award as Sustainability Excellence. And that structure is still there even after I'd left. So, and what they would do every week or every month, according to the arrangement we had at the time, was to tell us within their site that they're managing how sustainable they're driving, on site work or projects. What are they doing to introduce sustainability to the project they're driving in each of the regions they're managing? And we're able to celebrate whenever they do something really innovative, we'll celebrate it. And we're really happy. And it was a combination of project engineers, sustainability experts, even some of them that were like the cleaners. It was a combination of different disciplines coming together to form the sustainability champions. And they did quite well. So every month they would then send a report of what they've done sustainably in trying to, are you a cleaner? How are you making sure that you're introducing sustainability as a clean? Are you a project manager? How can we introduce sustainability into this project, mechanical project, electrical projects, civil projects? How do we introduce sustainability into this project that you're doing? And they came up with a lot of ideas, and it was really, really good. And they were celebrated. And of course, we got an award, by the end of when I was leaving Mighty at the time. So what I'm saying is, if it takes you to get like sustainability champions with your organization, and let them come up with innovative ideas and celebrate them when they do so, and make sure that some of the impact that they are trying to develop within your organization is being talked much about. Get them to put it online and make sure that the footprint is there. And I think some of these things would really help. Just the last slide. I'm sure I've taken some time already. Sustainability or green is no longer a niche topic to talk about. It's the next economy, and it cuts across everything that we do, really. I know we use the term green or the green job, but at the end of the day, it's really sustainable jobs. Like whatever you're doing cuts across sustainability, is helping to create an impact within the sustainability space and even the energy transition agenda we're trying to chase. It's not a niche, it's the next economy. It's the center of what we do. So yeah, that's sort of my brief. I'm happy to take questions. I'm sure there's a session for the questions. So thank you very much again for the opportunity.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks a lot, Edwin, for that. And it's a pleasure to be speaking at this event today alongside Edwin, who I've known for the past year. My name's Josh Robertson. I'm the founder of Engineer a Career. We are connecting the best engineering talent across Scotland with the best engineering companies. And I'm going to give you a background on what we are, who we are, what we're building, and how that relates to green talent and talent We, as an organisation, believe that the talent coming through our academic systems, be that universities, colleges and school, are the future of engineering, and therefore engaging them and attracting them early is fundamental, especially if you read some statistics such as the requirement for up to 1 million engineers and technicians required in the UK by 2030. That talent is only coming from one place, and it's in our academic systems. So it's been thank you very much for having me, and we'll go through the chat. So my name's Josh Robertson. I'm a chartered mechanical engineer. I've been out of university now, having graduated in 2015 for 10 years. I've been in a number of different sectors. I've done work in the nuclear industry, both civil and defence. I've done work across oil and gas, and I'm now in the transmission industry, working for SSEN Transmission. I've been a project engineer, an engineering manager, a project manager. I became chartered along the way. I've line managed, I've coached, I've built my own engineering team, and I've seen talent join organisations, but I've also felt the pain of trying to recruit as well, and the speed at which recruitment happens when you're trying to build a team and get the talent in can be detrimental to the work, the projects, and ultimately the profitability and output of an organisation. On to the next slide, please. There's a number of different problems that we face in the UK when it comes to resource and skills. You'll hear phrases such as skills gaps. I tend to believe more in a system gap, but ultimately one of the problems that I thought would be very useful to use as a base for this conversation today would be that 1/3, it actually can be more than that, but as low as 1/3, but is up to 50% of engineering graduates leave engineering. So students can't see pathways into engineering careers. So students in college, university don't see where they fit in. We don't have a skills gap, we have a visibility gap. If we are to overcome the challenge that we face in the UK over the next 10, 15 years in terms of the level of infrastructure that we need to support the sustainability and the net zero and transition, we ultimately need engineers and we need technicians, and we need to tell the right story to attract the right talent into it, because as I'm sure you'll be aware that there is so many more sectors that requires engineers that are not just related to sustainability. So therefore telling the right story is fundamental to bringing the right talent in. But also on top of that, it's engaging the talent early enough. So making sure that an organisation, a movement, a message is put in front of talent early enough so that they can see where they can see where they can be. The good old saying, you can't be what you can't see, is so true. So therefore getting that message to talent at the start of their journey is fundamental so they can see where they can be as they build their career. The next slide. So engineering career, we have three main elements which build up our organisation. And we have a podcast called the Engineering Career Podcast, where I interview engineers of different levels and different sectors, and they share their story. So they share the stories that they have built up through their career with the engineers of tomorrow. So engineers who are currently studying and developing get to learn about the challenges that engineers with fancy titles, the types of titles that you might not believe is possible within your own career, the stories that you can believe and see that you can overcome challenges and the projects that they've worked on. So we generally start off with how that person got into engineering, how they evolved from the studies or their apprenticeship or university or college into their first job. Then we go through the projects they've worked on, their successes, the highs and lows, the hurdles, the mentors and the coaches, but most importantly, what keeps them passionate about engineering. Engineering Career also has a student ambassador network. So across Scotland, because that's where I'm based and where Engineering Career is based, but we're going out across the UK, we have student ambassadors at every university in Scotland. So that means that we, as an organisation, are connected to the talent and the pipeline of talent which is coming through the system. So that means that Engineering Career is quite literally connected to the talent which organisations is trying to bring on board, which means messages going down from organisations can come through Engineering Career, but also messages can come back up as well. So we understand the talent of today and the student cohort of today, so that we can better communicate that through with organisations. And then finally, we also have events. We do workshops, we do live podcasts across universities. We also do workshops for students to help their empowerment and their employment readiness. And we also do a number of ad hoc events for organisations that partner with Engineer a Career. So, for example, last year we had an event with AECOM in Glasgow, and it was all about engineering the change, and it was covering their different business functions and how they are engineering sustainability into their different projects. So from water to infrastructure projects to, water, mainly water infrastructure, but there was another, a good strong conversation around how the talent of today can impact sustainability projects of tomorrow. Okay, on to the next. We have the Talent Network. This is our headline product, which has just went live over the last 4 weeks. So we have built our own network. So think LinkedIn, but for students. Cutting out the noise, students can join the Talent Network, which is built by engineers for engineers. In the Talent Network, which is built on circle.so, it cuts out the noise of that you typically see in LinkedIn. So we have weekly question and answers. So students can access the answers and ask the questions that they would want to ask that don't get the access to. They get access to masterclasses, industry insights, in particular the projects and the cultures of those who are partnering with Engineer a Career, and they get connected to the Engineer a Career network. So our network across the industry, the engineering industry, students of today, first, second, third year, get to connect and understand the types of jobs that they could go and do. A common theme that comes up is, what is a consultancy role? How does that compare to working in a different type of role as an engineer? That's the type of thing that the Talent Network can help students understand, so they're more informed from day one, and they get to position themselves into the career route and career path that they want to follow. So how does this relate to the attracting green talent? Right now, it's quite common and consistent around all of the polls and the data that the Engineer a Career captures, that talent coming through our education system wants to be working in a multitude of different sectors, but they want to be impacting and contributing towards sustainability. If that's the case, and that's something that we know now, if you're an organisation, what are you doing to create a pipeline for that talent so that you know it's coming to your organisation? How are you engaging with them now so that you know that they will be in your graduate roles, your direct entry roles, your summer placements? And that's why the Talent Network was built, and that's why ultimately the Engineer a Career is here. We are creating real pipelines from the talent that's picking engineering, so that then they can pick your organisation early instead of going for the talent in the final year. One of the sayings that I mentioned a few weeks ago in a talk with the Institute of Mechanical Engineers is, talent isn't found in the final year of studies. It's nurtured from day one, from the people talent meets, from the projects they see, and for the people that ultimately inspire them. And ultimately, if you're an organisation and you want to bring talent in, first and foremost, you need to be brave, you need to invest in it. So that means you need to invest in talent the same way you would invest in a bit of equipment, invest in a project, but also on top of that, you need to engage. You need to be engaging and attracting that talent now. You need to be looking at your work placements, your summer placements, your internships, and you need to be maximising it so that talent can get access to industry and see the pipeline into your organisation as soon as possible. If we're to bridge the gap, the skills gap, which firmly believe is a visibility gap, we need to bring more talent into our industry earlier so that they can see where they can be. On to the next slide. So, as I've already mentioned, we're connected to the talent the industry needs to recruit, and that is the position of Engineer a Career. We're on the campuses of every university in Scotland, and we will be across England, Wales, and Northern Ireland as well over the coming 12 months. On to the next. So how do we work? We work with two different options. So we have a sponsorship package, and we also do projects. So the sponsorship aligns organisations with our growing brand, which is very much known by engineering talent, and also our projects are more bespoke, where our organisation is trying to bring in talent to focus on sustainable outcomes. That's where Engineer a Career comes in and matches that talent with your organisation. On to the next, please. So the types of organisations that we've worked with over the past 18 months, SSE and Transmission, Langer Hurk, AECOM, Mott MacDonald and TACA. As you can see, a number of the Scottish universities there listed on the side, and as well as working with the Institute of Mechanical Engineers, the Scottish Business Network, First Port, as because we're a social enterprise, and with Santander X. Okay, on to the next slide, thanks. I'm open for any questions that you may have on engineering talent, how to engage it and attract it earlier, and also more widely around how we bridge the visibility gap that we've got across our industry in the UK. But thanks a lot, and I'm open for questions.
Thanks, thanks both. There was some really fascinating, fascinating stuff there, and I'll wrap some of that up towards the end. Before asking you for 3 key takeaways each, you'll start thinking about those. But now's the fun bit. It's the interactive bit. So if you've got any questions for anybody that's been viewing it, fire them through now. I'm going to get started. So we've got a really good question here from Sunila. How can leadership teams authentically embed sustainability into company culture without it feeling kind of performative or superficial? Who wants to take that first?
Says the one for Edwin.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting question because I kind of already spoke to it during the presentation. The role of leadership is really important. One of it is they want to see that you are doing what you say you want to do, right? Whatever the corporate organization is committed to doing sustainably, people want to really see that you're doing it. So if you want to start changing your fleet from ICEs to EV for all your staffs, people want to see it. If you say you want to maybe in your organization install some solar panels on the roof to ensure that some of your energy is coming from the green source, people want to see that you're doing it. The next one is really invest in capacity building. You know, let them see organizations that are investing in capacity building by proportion would always retain talent more compared to those that are not. People are not just looking to get in a job, they also want to grow within the space, within the sustainability space. So how are you investing? I like what Josh said about invest into capacity building as much as you're investing into projects and, you know, and some of your infrastructure. So invest into capacity building. What are the green skills that would be much more effective in the next 1 to 5 years? How are your staffs learning the skills? How are you bringing that into your organization as a skill? And the third one I would just say really is there should be a KPI designed corporately for achieving sustainability key goals. So it's not about talking about let it be a KPI, let it be introduced into business strategies. Let everybody that goes into meetings in the organization see that as a KPI, you know, that is attached to achieving sustainability within that company. I think those things will really help, not just CSR reports, you know.
I think I'd add to that as well is I think what's really important, and certainly where I've worked and I've noticed at work, is leadership teams empower middle management to then show individuals where they fit within the sustainability and what their contribution is going to, because that is like almost like the root cause of, or the root of empowerment. If you know where your contribution what your contribution is going towards, I think that in itself then can empower all levels of an organisation to continue to do their work ultimately and have that ownership. And I think that's quite unique, certainly within the sustainability space. We all know the end goal of sustainability or the goal of sustainability, and to know your place in that is, especially if you have a passion for it, is empowerment in itself. So the best organisations, I believe, empower their management to then show their employees where they fit within that puzzle as such.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, both. Some great answers there. And I'm going to add something that I think you both mentioned when you were speaking. Actually, I think it starts with purpose. I think it starts with purpose and culture, and really starting to embed that in. through the vision of the organization, then through the strategy, and it kind of permeates the organization in that way as well. Another question in. So given that we know that the majority of the 2030 workforce is currently in work, what role can and does professional development play in retaining green talent? So how do you think we should best support upskilling in sustainability related areas?
I'll allow Josh to take that first, and then I'll come in.
Yeah, I know. I'm pro bringing talent, and from the upskilling point of view, I get. Well, it's a similar point on the investment of bringing people in. It's organisations need to recognise that investing in their current teams is fundamental to their long-term projection and ability to deliver. And whether that's training, whether it's salary, whether it's perks, it all needs to come into the same package. The organisations at the moment who are winning the kind of larger contracts or contracts related to it, they need to be doing their resource modelling to make sure they've got the talent in place. So if they're doing their resource modelling and they know that they've got the headcount in place at the time, it then transpires from that as what do they need to do to keep that. Whether it's upskilling that's required is maybe a question that I would maybe question. Probably Edmund and I probably haven't maybe touched on it as much, but in terms of the use of green, so the question I would ask is what needs to be upskilled based on your current workforce, or is it more just an understanding of the skills that you have where it's been used before, without having to put the phrase green in front of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think talent retention is a very, very big deal. There are arguments that you can't, what can you really do to retain talent? You can't. If somebody starts the organization today and they say they want to leave after a year, and even if you've invested so much on them, there's really nothing you can do, right, to stop them from leaving. But that investment into them in terms of capacity building has a higher chance of retaining, though it does not guarantee that you will retain, right? So yeah, like you said, there has to be, I've just tied to the purpose we said earlier, there has to be, why do we need to do this? What are we trying to achieve as an organization? And what are the skills gap we really see at this time? Or like Josh put it, visibility gaps, that we're seeing within this organization that we need to improve on. As once people are able to see these and identify these things, and then companies are then committed to upskilling their staffs within those identified area. And I think retention is now much more purpose-driven than just saying, let's do some training. It is now purpose-driven. So we need to come from the angle of purpose-driven retention, and that's where the capacity building really comes in. So I think it's really important that we merge purpose with upskilling. That's really what bridges and keeps talent, really.
Yeah, I think as well, again, building on what you said when you were talking before, Josh, it's really about those pipelines. So again, they can't be what they can't see. So that, I think that applies to the workforce that might be kind of transitioning between industries. Actually, if they can see where they want to be and understand the pathways through, I think that that's relevant as well. We're not going to get away from this conversation without talking about AI. We've had a question through in the chat, which is a great one. With the integration of AI in the work environment, what are the different ways to achieve a successful workforce without making them feel less because the optimization of AI and automation?
Well, yeah, I think the issue of, like you said, the issue of AI is making the rounds, and there are pseudo statements around people losing jobs because of AI. AI is still lots going right now because of regulations. There's no responsive use yet, and I think one of the ways where organizations or individuals working within organizations would stay ahead of the curve is learning how to use AI to optimize your work, right? So it's not necessarily going to, if you're very familiar with AI technology, there are a lot of errors that it still churns out. what goes into AI is what comes out. So like, it's what you train the AI model with is what is coming out to you, right? So it's the more we use it, the more it gets smarter. However, there is a need for companies and organizations to stay ahead of the curve. And how do you do that? Is to ensure that people have trainings within how to use AI to optimize business processes. I believe there are some jobs that will be stolen because of AI, or that will be taken because of AI, but not all jobs will be taken out of AI. And those that will be taken because of AI are those that have not been able to learn how to use the AI tools to sustainably drive their business processes. So, I mean, from a sustainable point of view, statistically, right, training one AI model emits carbon as much as 5 cars would emit carbon, throughout the lifetime of the car, from production to scrapping the car, right? So there's a sustainability risk that is also posing into the atmosphere, right? There's responsible use of energy to power the AI model. There is, water to cool the model. All of those things are happening behind the scene. So how do companies, I think one of the ways they could do it is sustainably. How do they introduce AI sustainably to optimize business processes within the organization? I don't think it's for people to be scared that it's going to take the job. It's just learning. I think it's a good tool. People just to learn how to use it to ease or optimize their work.
Yeah, I can add to that. Can I add it from the perspective of a student coming in? So I'm probably rephrasing the question a bit. So I wrote an article last week called The Pressure Cooker of Capability, and it was all about how students right now have the ability to actually learn AI and the different tools which are being produced almost on a weekly basis at a quicker speed than organizations are introducing them. So if you're a student, it's all about exposure. It's all about how you would utilize it within your chosen profession. Now, this isn't just to do with engineering. This can be any profession. But to me, the speed at which AI is coming through, I don't think it's going to change. I think there's going to be more of it. I think that's just the reality of where we are. So it's you jump on, you get exposure, and you almost become as efficient, as effective as you can with the use of it, so that when you join an organization, you're almost upskilled to a point where the organization is then leaning on your knowledge and your mindset of it. Sorry if that's taking it the other way around, but I think it's important from a student's point of view to hear how to adapt and to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree with that. I think we've got time for one more question. So I might paraphrase it slightly. What's the biggest challenge that we face in transitioning towards a greener workforce, and how can we overcome it? If I start with you this time, Josh.
You won't be surprised to hear from the perspective I'll give this from. So I believe the biggest challenge we've got is bringing in the talent early enough. Fundamental. We have across the UK amazing organisations that do STEM activities, I call it. I know STEM is used, science, technology, engineering, maths, but amazing work in schools that trigger the engineering, science, technology and maths mindsets of young people. There's then a complete drop-off after that, when people pick their chosen route. To me, it is about engaging that talent early. There's an amazing graph you can look at if you look at an apprenticeship, and how long it takes for an apprentice to impact a project. So typically between 6 and 18 months, they'll start getting involved, whether it's hands-on, whether it's in an office-based environment. That at the same time, if you look at someone that's in university, they'll spend somewhere between 3 and 5 years. And if they've not had any exposure to industry, they could be 6 years before they start to contribute towards work and projects. We need that to be cut down. So we need to get exposure to talent earlier, so that we can enhance and build a green workforce, which can then take us towards the goals we've got in front of us at the moment, but then the goals that will come after that, past 2030. So to me, I'm a massive advocate for bringing people in through the academic route and bring them in as early as possible. And how that would work in a practical case, then feel free to message me and I can share it with you.
Perfect. Thanks, Josh. Edwin, have you got anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all big on advocacy because the question really says, what did I face transitioning? I actually did transition to green workforce because I started from oil and gas and then I moved into renewables. And I remember I really struggled to decide what part of renewables should I focus on, right? I really struggled because there were not a lot of information out there to guide me properly, right? There were not a lot of communities I could attach myself to, of people that are in the same space that we could talk about how, to to transition, right? So I think advocacy is really key, and I think the need for mentorship is really key as well. One of the things we do within Energize Black is to ensure that we build a pool of mentors and mentees for people that want to transition. They will be properly guided. I said the story of how I was called an inverter installer because I said I wanted to do renewables because they thought because an inverter installer, I wouldn't make a lot of money, right? I was laughing stock because I didn't just know what I was going to focus on. And now I've moved from that to being a project manager. Now I'm building digital technology, which I really like, but it was a struggle to transition. So advocacy is really key. Finding the community like Engineering Career, Energize Black, and working with those communities to see how you can reach talent is really key. And then mentorship outside and within the organization is really key. So these are the ways I think, will solve issues of, challenges transition into a growing workforce.
Perfect. Thank you both. So unfortunately, we've got no more time for any questions, but if any do come through, we'll try to our best to answer those offline. So thank you all for being part of the conversation today. We've heard clearly that the transition to a sustainable economy isn't just about technology or targets. It's really about people. And the organizations that will thrive in this space are those that understand the power of purpose-led leadership, inclusive culture, long-term thinking, and innovation. And some of the key points that I've heard from the discussion. So green and sustainability is really going to be central to the future of work. Green talent are professionals with sustainability-related skills, values, and experience. I love this phrase that Edwin used earlier. Talent is seeking companies that walk the sustainability talk. Retaining talent is critical. Engaging and attracting talent is fundamental. It starts before we recruit and runs through onboarding. Do it with the sustainability mission. Celebrating green internal champions. We don't have a skills gap, we have a visibility gap. I love that. Have those clear pathways for talent. Again, it's that great line from Josh, they can't be what they can't see. And that ties in again with the idea of having ambassadors. And be brave and invest in talent like you would equipment. Storytelling, communication, collaboration are important, bringing people together on the journey with us. So with that in mind, I think I've given you long enough to think. I'm going to go to you, Edwin, with your 3 takeaways from the session today that people can take forward.
Yeah, I think on this call, we've been able to demystify green talent or green job, right? Because it's a word that is thrown around so easily. So hopefully we've been able to demystify. And the other key lesson I've learned really from this, the takeaway from me is like really the inclusive leadership, which I really stressed on as one of the things we try to really buttress on in Energize Black. And the last one is the need for mentorship. If you talk to people that are trying to get into the green workforce, they are like the early career professionals. Most of them, they really don't know where to start from. So mentorship is really key. So that's like the top 3 things that is my key takeaway from this.
Perfect. And over to you, Josh.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, David. So it's number 1, I would say, and it's probably contrary to what I've said today, that listen to Edwin, he came across to a green sector or the sustainability related role from oil and gas, similar to myself, that we're not having to find the people from places that we don't already know where they're coming from. So that's number 1. Number 2 is we need to focus on how we bring in young people as early as possible, and I advocate for that across all. But number 3, which I think is the main one that came out here, is AI came up. But in a world of AI, you've got Edwin and Energize Black and Josh and Engineering Career, and you've got yourself, David, and CMI, all communities. So in a world of automation and artificial intelligence and an element of fear, communities are more important than ever. And therefore, being part of one to get that exposure and part of one to get that mentorship is fundamental for the future.
Brilliant. Thank you both. I think those are some really, really strong takeaways, and it just leaves me obviously to say thank you both for your really key insights today. I've found it fascinating, and as I'm sure that our audience have. So thank you very much to you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that's it for today's session. Thank you to our host David and to our speaker Edwin and Josh for your insight and expertise. Please stay tuned to hear more about CMI membership, and thank you for joining us.
Don't forget, as a CMI member, you can find the latest management and leadership insights at managers.org.uk. If you're not yet a member, join our community to discover CMI Confidence with on-demand resources, our network of mentors, and industry-leading accreditations.